Welcome on the stage.
Yeah, no worries there. I just popped in and excited to be here. Have you been on all day, Noto?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. All day, like yesterday, and then all day today. I couldn't say all day, but 5 hours Sunday, 5 hours Monday. So it's been crazy experience. So yeah,
Well,
that's
awesome.
crazy. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm Ian O'Neill. I am president and founder of DCL Curations. I'm still getting I just moved, so I'm still trying to get up my green screen and everything like that. But obviously, I am in the VRS district and was excited.
Okay. Just gonna share my screen and show you one amazing video to take some time. Here it is. We'll see MetaView billboards now in Neosphere.
Now, or they have noticed that their competitors have entered into the metaverse and they want to figure out how to kind of get caught up, get up to speed. And so we do a lot of consulting with traditional companies, just showing them what the metaverse is, not necessarily just Decentraland, but in general, what is the metaverse? And then secondarily, we do education and work with born in the metaverse companies. So by that I mean born in the metaverse, companies that didn't exist prior to the metaverse and really originated from a blockchain based perspective. And from there we really try to create unique experiences that haven't been created before. And one of the really cool things that we did in the past, I would say, is working with Dapcraft and Nick Graham, and we did the recreation of the Apollo 11 moon landing, and then actually recreated those spacesuits, and actually ended up doing a in real world and virtual auction of a tuxedo, a space tuxedo that was featured at the Apollo 11 50th anniversary runway show, I believe. So that was very cool. And then something that we have going on right now is the gamification of education in Decentraland. And so some people have, I think, been on the Decentraland town halls or have been involved in, voting in the DAO at least. And that's also something very interesting. A lot of people are are getting a lot of I guess hype around the DAO and grants right now. But what we are currently working on, by we, I mean myself and a bunch of other creators in Decentraland. We have Cyclopa on 3D modeling for the building. We have Sango from MetaZoo doing our wearables. Definite Cash is on our graphic design and advertisements, and Mariana DCL doing our community management, while Carl Frayville is actually one of the advisors on our team, which is awesome. So I believe Carl was actually the very first person I ever interviewed when I first got into Decentraland, and he shed a lot of light on it for me, I think. But then our backend team, our backend architecture team, and our SDK team is Dapcraft, and Dapcraft has done a lot in the space as well. They just released an amazing Halloween experience, along with everything else that they do. So just in general, it has been, you know, great getting more involved in Decentraland over the last, you know, 10 months, meaning, you know, making this my full-time job. But at the same time, it is very interesting because a lot of clients might not necessarily be interested in Decentraland, or may have a question about, you know, why invest in Decentraland versus another platform. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Apparently, me and the other 38 users have, but I think Decentraland is really like an incubator, I want to say, where the blockchain based metaverse space and all of these different platforms that are working through this bear market and you know, just chugging away at developing a new digital world where people can own their data, their information, and their assets. It's crazy to see kind of what has grown, and it's awesome, in my opinion, to look at Decentraland really as an incubator, since it's the most decentralized right now in terms of, well, I guess decentralization, you know, comparing it to like Sandbox or Roblox or Treeverse or Somnium or something like that. And it's really interesting. By working in the most decentralized metaverse right now, there are a lot of challenges that you and companies face. And by working through those challenges here, it allows you to really develop something special that can easily be expanded to these other also decentralized platforms. So I think it's awesome just really being a part of this global incubation tank, and having the opportunity to work on some of these experiences funded now by the DAO. We got our grant for the gamified educational experience, but I think it's just been great in general. Everything that I've done in Decentraland, and every person that I've met from Decentraland, and where this whole space is heading. So yeah, I was really excited for the VRS, and I see Carl down there as well. But I was traveling this weekend, so I wasn't able to pop in yesterday. But yeah, Noto, I guess what are some of the greatest experiences that you've seen from VRS and whatnot?
Yeah, it's like, you know, so amazing to see so many interesting projects, and they are so motivated, full of positive energy, and building these things. I myself like have lands in different metaverses, and the community I've seen in Decentraland so far is most supportive, most helpful, fun at the same time. And you have amazing jokes on the parties, networking, and especially like they are so helpful when you have some problem. Like my first touch of the point also was Carl.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like Carl is connecting people, you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I wanted to ask you like about DCL curation. So basically, you are you guys also like hosting events and helping brands to onboard into the Decentraland, or you are solely like working on like building like and that's it? So if you give us more
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, me personally, I'm a consultant at heart, so I'm more business oriented, but I 3D model, I understand code, I can do animations, you know, I can do graphic design, stuff like that, but none of those are really my specialty, I would say. So when it comes to what I do through DCL Curations from like a consulting perspective, a lot of organizations might say, Like, just for example, hey, we've heard about the metaverse, but we're not exactly sure what to do. And then I can show them a couple of different metaverses. I can show them different experiences. I know for like alcohol companies, for example, right now, Decentraland is preferred over Sandbox, because Decentraland allows for age gatekeeping, whereas Sandbox, you can't quite code that kind of stuff in yet. And then if that company or those individuals want to deploy something into Decentraland, then that's when I kind of source all of the resources. So if they need coders, if they need modelers, if they need event planners, then I build a team around that and I project manage it up to delivery. So do we, specialize in builds? No, not necessarily. I specialize in helping people understand how to do what they want to do. And if a build is part of that, then yes, in that case, we specialize in builds too.
Yeah, that's so great because like I'm always like working with like big brands with the MetaView, helping them to onboard in metaverses through different kind of advertising opportunities. And they are always like, and me myself always looking for custom solutions, like to make the brand experience like gamified or interested or fun together with the event. So I'm so happy to get to know you and have you in contacts, because that's why we could like kind of everybody help each other out. For example, I have a brand wants to do something, and then there is one vendor who can do that, then another vendor who can do another part of this thing, and yeah, it's great thing here. So and I'm gonna also like ask people inside Decentraland if they will have some questions to you. Just wait for a couple seconds. If not, I'm gonna come out with another question. So I'm gonna wait for a couple seconds.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So basically, like my next question goes to amount of the traffic, right? In Decentraland, we all know it's very low. And do you get challenges about that, like from brands or companies who want to do some activations in Decentraland?
Yeah, that's it's interesting, especially from an ad perspective, because I know there was an ad group that actually just kind of shut down because the
Yes.
traffic wasn't there. They had kind of feel like they had jumped the gun. They had started it, when it was in the bull run, and how are you supposed to, sell ad space if there's 100 people showing up a week, or to, and again, I'm not talking like 100 people in a week, that's to like a specific venue, but Decentraland is so big that you need to advertise in the highest traffic places, right? I mean, that's just what makes the most sense. It's like putting an ad on Google and having it pop up top. So a lot of companies, I think, do look at that and they wonder, is this worth the money? And I'm not talking about a lot of money, we're not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars here, but it could just be something as simple as, a $10,000, $25,000, event where they're renting something and they're just thinking like, is this legitimately worth like the time that we're going to put into this? And that's where I always emphasize, or like to emphasize, the fact that this is an incubator, right? Think about this as your test grounds. You're not pouring $1 million into this. You can pour $1,000, you can pour a couple of $1,000s into this, and you can play around with it. You can figure out, maybe you have some thriving 3D modelers inside of your company that can build a lot of this stuff in-house for you in a low poly format. Or maybe you can just play around and see if there is a certain portion of the market that maybe you haven't been able to grab so well through your other positions, and now through this you're able to reach a new part of your market that you never knew you were able to. So I think really looking at it from that, just like as a whole, a startup or incubator perspective really makes people more excited. It's like, instead of promising them, hey, get into this, do something, and it's going to be awesome and it's going to be a sure thing, I really approach stuff more like, hey, this is a learning experience and let's all learn together, you know?
Yeah, totally agree with you. So it's a learning experience, and also like getting like stuff ready when it will be massively adapted, if it will be adapted, and lots of people gonna joining in. So it's more like kind of having fun, be passionate, don't like, because right now all the projects I meet and I speak with, it's not like the projects like hype and then get rich next day, right? So it's more like people who enjoy what they are doing, not thinking even like that they are not getting, for example, enough compensation, there is not enough revenue. Even like with MetaView, what we bring advertisers to landowners and they are happy whatever revenue we are bringing, because everybody knows the situation at this time in the marketplace, right? So yeah, like I always love to meet this kind of like-minded people who enjoy what they do, despite if there is no much like huge cash coming in and flowing in, right? So money grabbers, I would say. But we are like kind of doing business. So every business needs some time to go break even, then have massively adapted, and then generate some positive cash flow. So yeah,
I
like
I
I
think, oh,
yeah.
sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think Esteban, I think Carl said Esteban's going to be on in about half an hour or so,
Yes,
which
yes,
is one of the co-founders of Decentraland, right?
yes,
And what else is interesting is how Decentraland kind of operates as a company, though, because there is the foundation and then there is the DAO. And so I think for new people coming into
yeah.
the space, kind of understanding like, if you want to start a company in this space, how do you go about that? You know, what is the difference between working with the foundation, which might be a lot of traditional established brands might contact the foundation and they might become part of something like the Metaverse Music Festival, right? You know, that's typically, that intake isn't going through the DAO. But then if you are trying to create a company in Decentraland, you're mainly working on the DAO side of stuff. So it is really interesting, kind of how the whole ecosystem works, I would say.
Yeah, I also very interesting and can't wait to hear Esteban talk. Actually, his topic will be about DAOs and organizations and how it should be managed. And if you will be staying around, feel free to write any question in the chat. I will be reading them out, because it's very unique and interesting model, because what I have seen in all other metaverses are kind of mostly managed by the team and centralized. So in Decentraland, some people say that things move slowly because of lacking of centralized management and etc. Like people still always like move towards like centralization. I'm just talking about majority of the people I'm just meeting around in the real life, right? But decentralized good proof that decentralization can really work and community can really build some things and move forward. So yeah, let's see what Esteban gonna say about it. And very unique model, very interesting. I think it's still in the testing mode, and we are all part of this kind of experiment and observing from inside. So let's see how it will goes.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand like the underlying complexities when you're trying to do something completely decentralized, right? Like when you're trying to build within these kinds of build constraints, and when you're trying to do things and you can't just add more server power, and you can't just, you know, like if it's centralized, you have the control. It's like, oh, I need more space and more stuff to develop, and you can do that. But here it's like, oh, I would have to buy more land, I would need to expand, I got to do X, Y, and Z. You basically have to think about it from like a legitimate real estate perspective, in terms of like zoning sometimes also. So I think that's fascinating. But yeah, I'm not going to miss a chance to listen to Esteban speak. I think that's going to be great, and it's going to be awesome to see where he thinks Decentraland is heading.
That's amazing. So thanks for presentation. Very energetic.